live. Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Yoie and Jordi Podcast. I'm Jordi.
I'm Yoie.
And not a lot really going on in the news this week as far as I'm concerned. I've seen a lot more stuff about like Julian Assange and shit.
Yeah, true. I haven't seen as much. As I was kind of saying before, I kind of just, at this point, I just kind of scroll past it now. It's like, the cunt should be released. And they've been saying that for 10 years?
Yeah. No, well, definitely agree with you. And obviously I see a lot about it. I never click the links. I never follow up. I just think, I think the reason it's like showing a lot more, at least in my feed, is because there was a recent he appealed his extradition to the US.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've seen a lot of his name come up and little articles. I actually just checking then to see if there's any news to talk about. I've seen, it's one of the first things I've seen again. So it does keep coming up, but what the fuck's going to happen? I reckon the cunt's just going to die, you know what I mean?
Die in custody? Or
well, the picture you see, when you see the pictures of him now, he looks like disheveled, you know what I mean? How would you describe it? He looks fucked.
Yeah, well, that's what being locked in one building for a decade will do to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my opinion, what's your opinions on it? What was he?
Well, so I see people argue that but he's releasing government secrets that could put people's lives in jeopardy. But what he's doing is talking about war crimes that America's committing.
Yeah.
And do you what do you value in a government? If you value anything, it would at least be transparency would be a big thing on that list, you know?
Definitely.
You'd want to, if a government's doing something, you'd want to know about it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want them to be hiding, especially prosecuting fucking journalists.
Exactly, because he wasn't actually the one. He wasn't like a fucking military person that's released top secret documents.
No.
Someone like that has sent them to him. So, I'm 100% on what you're saying, but it's just what argument do they come from? Because I have seen people real Republican, sort of probably old style conservative Republicans will come up. They're releasing secrets that might compromise. Because obviously they're going. Because it's people think more. It's what I was thinking about it earlier in a way. It's people think, I live my life and I want to preserve the American state, whatever. But they don't really think about whether that's a good thing for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that patriotism was a lot more alive and well when they were younger.
Yeah.
Especially people that were they just their parents fought World War II, for example.
Yeah.
There's a lot more patriotism in we saved the world from the Nazi regime.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas America at this point, it's I couldn't what did their dads fight for? They fought in Vietnam or Korea to stop communism.
Yeah, and just go kill a bunch of
just kill a bunch
action
of
people.
Yeah, that's what their dads fought for, and now we're in this Iraq, Afghanistan, the Middle East kind of era, where again we're not really stopping you're not stopping the Nazis, you're not stopping some big evil that is genociding everybody.
Yeah, and it is weird because it's, fuck. Pretend I'm an expert. I only just started reading World War I, World War II books. Still in the process of reading my first World War II book as we speak.
Yeah.
But one thing I've kind of gathered from what I've been reading, you know what I mean? It's obviously I already kind of knew this, but they always portray it as it's a big ideological thing, democracy versus, sort of totalitarianism or whatever. But it's even in World War One, the way it happened, a lot of it has to do with just military alliances. You know what I mean? With two nations will have a military alliance and they kind of rely on that, you know what I mean? It's because Russia, which was completely run by the Tsar and was this ancient sort of state, you know what I mean? That was teamed up with the liberal democracies or whatever against Germany. So while they were painting them as this picture of barbarians or whatever, they were teamed up with someone
Yeah.
that was completely the same. Not the exact same.
Is running that authoritarian kind of thing as well.
Yeah, like tyrant, just military. And
Yeah. No. Sorry, where were you going with that?
I sort of I don't even know.
Oh well,
where
it isn't freedom versus dictatorship as much as like they like to portray it as or whatever.
Yeah, and it put a lot more emphasis on just like the military alliances that might have been there for 20 years. More emphasis on that than I thought it would be.
Do you think that still applies to like wars today?
I don't know, and I do wonder about it. You know what I mean?
Because I was talking to my housemate about this. You know him, obviously, and he was like just speaking absolute like bullshit about like classic, absolute retarded stuff about like Russia and Ukraine.
What was he saying?
I don't know.
A dish account right now.
Russia's got nothing left. It's their like final straw at trying to get something. That's all. They just want to get something. And that's why they're attacking Ukraine. It's like, okay, well, he hasn't even thought about the fact that NATO's been encroaching on them since like the 80s.
Yeah.
And that it just keeps getting further and further towards them. They're on their border now. They weren't supposed to go 1 inch past East Germany.
Yeah.
So, like has a lot to do, if you ask me, would be like NATO pushing into like their like circle of influence or whatever.
No, absolutely.
So, and obviously Ukraine, it's not a fucking decent country. It's corrupt as fuck.
It's funny.
And if it's corruptible, the US is going to have a fucking businessman there trying to make side deals. Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
I'm sure many others.
Yeah.
But and obviously Russia doesn't want that, especially when Ukraine might join NATO. It's like that's a no, and it's like where's the straw? And obviously Ukraine was the final straw for Russia to actually invade Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, that has like geographical. Trying to sound smart there, but geography-wise, it's right next to it. Like that has a lot more to do it than say, because I was looking at like this ideology thing again. I was looking at it was like this map. Could have been bullshit. I always try to say it could have been bullshit, but it said like the percentage of people in the country that believe like trans women are women or whatever. And it had Russia, the Netherlands, it's like 70% or some shit like that. That annoyed me. But Russia and Ukraine were both on like 4 or 5%. Like,
yeah. So when I was arguing with him, and he was just talking about like, who's ally with who, I think this is a good way to sum it up, is that like, I think it is a battle of like ideologies, but in the sense of that it's like free market capitalism versus state capitalism. Because like obviously Russia and China.
Well, Russia's not state capitalist.
It isn't, but it is very one party kind of controls
probably
everything.
I'm
in
sure
that sense, like it's
this motherfucker.
I think that it's kind of pretending that it's not.
I think they're not like. I don't think they legitimately have, like we're China, where it's like we're only allowed to have one party.
No, they're not. But I think that it is
essentially
that.
Well, is Putin president for life?
I couldn't tell you honestly. I'm not some fucking genius on like politics in Russia, but I don't think that you can challenge him. I think that it's kind of pointless, and especially with like it's a known fact that he assassinates competitors, or people who look to undermine him and shit. And that's obviously not a democracy or a free market. It's pretty much his market, which would be whatever his ideology is trying to push. It's that, which one power kind of thing. Like you hear Russia's run by the mob or whatever.
Yeah, you hear that. And that seems to be true.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if like there is like the mob and politics and politicians in Russia are very much linked together.
Yeah, well, that's the basic gist from what small. I don't know heaps about Russia post Soviet era, really. Other than because it is the cliche of like at the fall of the Soviet Union, basically the gangsters just bought up everything that was kind of owned by the state.
Yeah.
which is crazy as it is.
Well,
Because this is the thing as well, because it doesn't mean you're pro-Putin or pro the Russian state to acknowledge that it's not just Hitler, fucking Hitler, but
it's not just Putin.
Putin being Hitler. Yeah. I don't know, yeah. Russia is pretty fucked.
Oh, by no means is it like, pro-Russian to say that, hey, this war isn't just one-sided, Russia's the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like America using Ukraine to fight Russia. That's not a fucking morally or fucking good act. That's a bad thing.
No, yeah.
Because it's... So, like, there are multiple factors that made this war happen.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't just blame one side because the Reds, like, you're scared of Russians or whatever.
Mm.
Like, that's just not looking at it in like in an objective way.
No, but he's also an idiot.
What, Putin?
Your housemate.
My housemate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I would never go to him for political tags. Oh
Yeah.
God, did I tell you what he said about nuclear war?
What?
Did I tell you?
No.
Oh fuck, this is insane. So I was like, we're talking about.
He's gonna love this guy.
Oh God, we're talking about. I don't want to do it. We're talking about. Do it. We're talking about nuclear war, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm not worried about it at all. Like, even if they sent a nuke, I'm not even worried." Because he's in his mind, all of like the superpowers. So like he has like, you have Western superpowers, and then you have like Eastern superpowers. But it's like basically America, Russia, and China have satellites. They're like mirrors, right? And they fucking make force fields off the energy of the sun. That'll just.
He didn't say it.
He said this. He said it'll just like a nuke will go through that force field, and it'll just be like made obsolete.
Yeah, right.
And I was just like, where the fuck are you getting this, man?
That's like, some wild shit.
It's like, first of all, like, why would you know? If this was a real thing, why would you know this? Yeah. Like, how did you figure this out before anyone else? And it's not like a big thing, like, we don't have to worry about nuclear war.
Yeah, don't worry, you got to figure it out.
Even if it is like some scam, like, if that was true, why would that? Like, why would he know?
Yeah, why is he the one saying?
Yeah. But
maybe we do need to get this guy on.
No, I'll turn it to a physics lesson.
Yeah. From a cunt that doesn't know a thing about physics. I hope he watches this.
Oh God. No, but either way, his theory was just like, this guy is like not worried about it at all. And it's just like, he just thinks that it's like, at this point, I don't think it's stupid to say that the weapons have surpassed defense capabilities.
Like, I'm not sure. Has it? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know enough about.
I was reading about nukes, and I'm no weapons expert. But what they were saying is like, so a nuke isn't just one big bomb that fires.
Yeah, right.
It's like one like rocket goes up and it shoots off like thousands of warheads, and a lot of them will be dummies. But you've got to take out every single, because you don't know which one it is. Yeah, and it just takes one to hit.
They do? Okay. Is that actually how they do it?
Yeah, apparently. I watched a video on it, and that's what they're saying. Like, it's not as simple as, you have air defense and you'll take it out.
Because I knew they'd shoot a lot, but I didn't know it was something like that.
You'd have to, like, stop all of them. Because, like, at some point, it's like trajectory or whatever, so you don't have to have rocket powers. It's like you just need to get it to the spot and then, like, shower it over.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you can stop them. You can stop heaps, probably. I don't know what the air defense is like. But, like, in this thing I was watching, he was saying, like, it would be very difficult or unlikely that you'd stop all of them.
Yeah, and I suppose only, like, even if it did stop all of them, and on one occasion, maybe they sent it to 20 different cities, it might not.
Yeah, it's like, that's why I think that what we can do to other countries compared to what we can, like, defend ourselves with, I think that what we can do is a lot fucking worse.
It is such a game changer, eh?
It is a lot better. I mean, like, it's superior. Our weaponry is superior than the defenses, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't know if it'll ever come to that, eh? Because, like, yeah, once again, reading those books and shit, you can see, like, they start even like the invention of planes is pretty like OP. You know what I mean? It started to like, fucking hell, it's pretty crazy that you could all of a sudden just kill them. And there's not, like, if you're just on the ground, what the fuck are you meant to do to that?
You can just fly over a mountain and you're gone.
Yeah, and just start dropping bombs from the sky. It's like usually they'd have to sort of invade. So the nuke is just fucked.
Oh, yeah. No,
that's blow up half the city.
And it's like, I'm not like, nuclear war's coming, because I'm a big subscriber of that fucking mutually assured destruction. So, like, last ditch effort, obviously, like, if we send a nuke to Russia or whatever, Russia's going to send one back, fucking China's going to start sending them, Iran's going to send them, like, every country that has them is going to start fucking using them.
Yeah.
Because, like, if I'm getting blown up, you're getting blown up.
True.
So that's what I think is, that's the whole Cold War.
Exactly. And one thing I think actually, I didn't know till kind of recently, there actually has been face-to-face between two countries that are nuclear powers, and they actually went to directly against each other in war. It was India and Pakistan. I'm pretty sure. So is it those two that always fighting? There's India and someone. I think it was Pakistan.
Yeah, I think it's India and Pakistan.
Yeah, they actually had a little war and actually had like, I don't think it was massive war, you know what I mean? But it was definitely troops fighting each other, because like Russia and America's never actually directly faced off, and they didn't use them. So like I think the nukes really are a last ditch effort. But even like I think one of them ended up conceding defeat. I think it might have been over a small amount of territory. I don't know exactly. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Instead of blowing up the world, you're better off losing one fucking bit of territory or a bit of territory, you know? I mean, I suppose it's different if they end up taking, like, the bigger city. I mean, if you took, like, something on the outskirts, probably that's just ridiculous to fucking blow up everything over.
Yeah, I was just watching something about, like, China and India also having a bit of conflict as well.
Yeah, they have actually skirmishes on the border a bit, I think.
I was watching this years ago. I could be wrong, and I'm just going to try and get it. But I think there was like there's like these rivers that control like water supplies. Like, and it's like fucking far off. Like, it's on the edge of both of their borders.
Yeah.
But I think that it's come to light that it's such an important thing to actually have control of, because someone could stop it and like really fuck with your water supply.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot of the reason why China wants to fucking claim it and start setting up like dams and shit there, so they can, you know, it's like protecting yourself, but also on the other side, it's like, what are they doing to us?
Yeah.
It's like, so you want someone, it has to be controlled, but you don't want your enemy to control it, pretty much, or someone that isn't you to control it.
I mean, fuck it. Ever since I was a kid, man, I was like, the idea of nation states, it's like, that's got to end one day. Like, I'm not saying it has to be tomorrow, but the idea that, like, they're just so against each other, you know what I mean? You can't have nation states and then not be
conflict. Yeah, it's like conflict is an inevitable thing, because they're competing with each other, even if it's not like militarily competing. They want to be the better economic superpower. Yeah, which means like they have to have better fucking, like, they got to make more money than the country next to them. How are they going to do that? They have to do something. Yeah, and it also comes down to that thing where it's like, maybe they're not going to do anything with the fucking water supply, but what if they do? You know what I mean? It's like, you got to, maybe that means you have to do something to make sure they fucking don't do it first. Yeah, so it's that I agree. It's just like, it's to section R, like, because obviously like borders are like, they're not like a physical thing that exists. It is like an idea, and to like section off who controls what by these, it's kind of definitely limits like our capability as like a species. Absolutely, because like we can't actually cooperate fully grand, like big picture scheme. Like, we can cooperate in our thing, but there is no fucking, it ends here and it can't go there. Yeah. It's like all of that has to really be incorporated for it to like run as best as it possibly can. No, it's definitely like that. And I also think as well, it's like, if you go, like, I project, I mean, if I assume we don't go fucking extinct or some shit like that, would be a spacefaring fucking You'd hope.
You'd think so.
I think more than likely.
Unless, like, there's no way we're going to go, like, full Luddite, fucking, we're not going to advance or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Even if we never left the solar system, we would, I'd say eventually, unless we went extinct.
I was about to say, you're starting to sound like my roommate. I'm like,
Yeah.
you never left the solar system.
No, but if I'm talking maybe 10,000 years or whatever,
Yeah.
you would still not just stay on Earth. It's just the idea, like, if imagine you're in space and you're like, all over here or whatever, and you look at Earth and it's still divvied up by fucking nations and shit. It's just that'd be very primitive, I would think.
No, well, yeah, definitely. Well, because you'd think like the idea of like any kind of species is to cultivate land or like area. Because space is obviously not land. So like owning like they already talk about terraforming Mars and people living on Mars and shit. So like 10,000 years, like even in 1,000 years, I could see that we'd be at least spacefaring between maybe a couple planets.
Yeah.
Or an asteroid or a space station, and it's not uncommon for people to be like on it.
Yeah. So I would think, and it's like as the means of communication sort of developed, like, you know, when we were cavemen and shit like that, no mail system, nothing like that. Yeah, you have borders and they're like, fuck, what, a few kilometers, I don't know what the fuck they were, but not very big. And as now we're fucking, I can talk to someone in China, and it's like probably a second delay or some shit like that, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, well, even if you look at like the evolution of how things going, obviously like competing like nations and shit is obvious, or competing like groups is obviously like declining, because like Australia, like for an example, like before it was colonized, there were like over 500 different languages, different tribes everywhere, like thousands of them with competing territories, and now it's one big territory. Yeah. In like big pictures, it's surrounded by other big territories, but we're bigger but less territories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, as like society has evolved, like the amount of different territories that are owned by different factions has reduced.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the trend.
That's what I think, and that's why with the means of communication, as like now the internet and stuff like that, all this other shit was set up in Australia, what's that, like 1780s or 1800 or whatever. And that was the whole country. Now you have the internet. Over time you think it's going to be like, yeah, whatever, it's just going to be one massive thing.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And that's why I think that like where I was going with where wars are now, and like, are they like ideological battles? It's like, is there really there is bits of like technical distinctions, but like the distinction between like the West in America and the West in Australia, I don't think like you wouldn't really look at those as different factions.
No.
Like, because obviously they're working together. They're both Western countries. They're not going to like, no, not tomorrow, and it's not going to be socially acceptable to be like, oh, Australia's China's ally now.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
There's a big war. Like, that's not going to happen. So I think that like you could kind of break it into like, there are those more like they're not as free market capitalist countries versus the like, where is a free market capitalist country anyway?
I mean, when it's almost like that in a sense. Well, I mean, I could go down the street and buy drugs, and it's illegal, but you can fucking certainly do it. But it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is weird, but it is definitely ideological in that sense, because like you got like Japan and South Korea, which are more with the West, and they got the more liberal democracy or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. We've gone a long way from Assange here.
Yeah, obviously the country should be free, and it shouldn't be a crime to fucking publish war crimes.
No, definitely not.
That's pretty much, I think, everyone's
It's not even controversial, though. I've never actually heard someone I've ever met that disagreed with that.
Yeah, only Twitter, and they could just be feds.
Yeah, I've never, even on Twitter, I suppose maybe like really old people or something.
Yeah, so I've never met someone in real life that's been like, oh yeah, he deserves to be locked up. I remember one time actually, my ex was saying that like, oh fucking, apparently it's like he's filthy and disgusting and abuses the people in the embassy that he's trapped in, and it's just like he's been locked in there for years, and it's like expect him to be like happy and all that because he can't see his fucking family, he can't visit friends, he can't do anything. It's like obviously the cunt's being tortured, and it just seemed like she was just reading some like BuzzFeed article that's like, oh yeah, Julian Assange is a bad guy.
Yeah, because
like
they did that whole thing where they like did their fake rape allegation charges and shit, and then just dropped them.
Yeah, just like shit. It's like how much can you be tricked? Because all this guy did was publish war crimes, and he's been stuck in there, and now you're trying to picture it like you're trying to cancel him.
Yeah, true.
And the cunt's already technically he's already cancelled. He's already
true.
locked up.
It's like proper cancelled, eh?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He's like a good example. I do want to change topic because I want to talk about something else. But he's a good example. I've talked to friends, and they'll talk about like China. You'll get arrested if you go against the government or something like that. And it's like they're way more strict on it, I suppose. Like they won't take. I mean, I've never been there. I can't actually say that properly. I mean, not that means you can say, but like in the West, if you say something that actually properly discredits them, they will fucking go after you, and they'll go after you fucking hard.
No, definitely. It's just because we have like like you can I don't know. I've heard in China you can't criticize the party, or you'll be fucking locked up and whatever. Because I think there actually has been like some chick who like did say something bad about the party and then like just disappeared off the face of the planet. She was like a Twitter person and like made like videos and shit, and then like her last like tweet was like, oh, a black van just rocked up out the front of my like apartment complex, and never heard from again.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so like they definitely are more strict over there, but like if you said something that was damaging to like the US or whatever, I guarantee there'd be a black van rolling up as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just because like I think that maybe America's more like, oh well, fucking this guy saying, oh, America's bad, fuck Joe Biden or fuck Trump isn't actually gonna fucking destabilize the country.
Yeah, no, that exactly, and it's like the softer approach, but essentially pretty similar. Yeah, I don't know why China does that way, but it's effective as well, I suppose. Anyway, I do want to change subject because I want to talk about something a little bit different, because essentially I want to talk about the whole stabbing around black culture or knife crime and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, like recently there was a stabbing in like where we live in Melbourne, and I've lived in this part of Melbourne for like 2 years, and there's been 3 stabbings, and it's like legit 100% has always been Sudanese gangs.
Yeah, and it's like I want to insert myself in the story. I fucking saw the guy on the ground. Funnily enough, we were at my well, I mean, it didn't affect me mentally or anything like that, but it was a pretty crazy situation. I was down there with Mrs. and mate, Jules, and just eating a kebab or whatever, and then we left to walk home. Other mate pissed off. As we're walking home, all of a sudden, it was pretty crazy, man. All of a sudden, there's just like people running past us, and it was just still just before that. And it was like genuinely, because I've never experienced that in real life, it was like watching a school shooting video where it's like people just start running in the street, and then all of a sudden more people start running in the street, and like I'm looking at people, but no one's like really saying anything. So I'm like, at the same time, like there's not really guns here as much, so it's like unlikely to do that, and I would have heard that. So, but like no one's really saying anything, and then I kind of look around, and then there's a fucking dude on the ground. I didn't see his like head or nothing, but I could see his legs, and because there were probably 100 people that all of a sudden were surrounding this guy, I was just building up. Some dude comes out and he's like, "We need a doctor," or something. It was seriously like what you do in a movie, man. But like cliche, but it's like, well, because I wouldn't want to say that just because it's like cliche because it's on a movie, but it's like, imagine, they do need a doctor. The cunt wasn't moving, man.
Imagine you're the only guy there and you're yelling, and like you won't say, "Oh, we need a doctor. Is anyone a doctor?" Because you're like, it's cringe. Yeah. It's like,
yeah, your mate, when you say it, you're like,
he's a knife in his chest.
Am I overreacting? But yeah, I didn't see his whole body, but I could see his legs. And his mate, I assume it was his mate, comes up to him and goes, like looks at him, and he's just like, fuck, slams the fucking ground. He's like, I'm gonna kill these fucking word, but he was black himself, and then he just took off, and it was like,
he just took off.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming he's running because he knew the cops were going to come. The cunt was not moving on the ground. As far as as I said, I didn't see his face or like the upper part of his body, but I could see like his legs because there were so many people around him, and it was fucking. It's a pretty insane sort of thing to say, you know what I mean? And it filled me with a lot of anger as well. And it's like, at the time, I was like, I'm not going to lie, I was like, why do those people do that? You know what I mean? Like, why is it always black people that are involved in this sort of shit? Not saying it's every black person or whatever the hell people are going to mischaracterize what I'm saying, but at the time it was pretty, because I want to go down the beach and not get fucking stabbed. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. And like, it's probably not the greatest example because it's a smaller population, but we used to live in like a very, like, Melbourne's very multicultural. There's heaps of different cultures around. There's heaps, like, actually like colour. But we come from a place where like, there were a couple black people.
Yeah.
There weren't many like on Phillip Island that lived there. And there wasn't like, I'm not going to be like, oh, why so good? But there wasn't that, like, there were still bar fights, there were still fights where people would beat the shit out of each other, and that would happen. Like, every like, it would happen all the time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to the extent that you see around here. And it is because it is a city, and, like, I don't know why the culture's that way in the city. But it tends to be like, oh, the crimes are a lot more violent, and it tends to be certain people who are doing it. It tends to always be, like, black gangs. Or like, and
exactly.
The media, like, it feels like, oh, I'm going to be called a racist for saying that, but it's like the media won't say it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is it that like a vast majority of this is fucking like Sudanese gangs? Like,
why? Yeah, exactly.
And I almost got jumped out the front of a McDonald's. I was just standing there talking to my mates, and like someone throws like a burger at me, and then fucking it's like 5 pseudos surrounding me, threatening to bash me now.
Yeah, and that's just like, at McDonald's, eh?
Yeah, it's just at McDonald's. I didn't do anything, but I've never had that like experience of someone coming up threatening me directly for doing like nothing.
It is insane.
I've never had it with a different race.
No, and because it's not saying, and that's why I want to get into this, because I think it is an interesting topic to talk about, because it's not saying, I think a lot of it goes down to why is it particular these people that are in doing this, you know what I mean? It's like, and you can tell it happens in summer when everyone's out, you know what I mean? Everyone's trying to make a show of themselves in a sense. We live right next to a beach. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that come down here to hang out in the summer.
Yeah.
So it's like people are, you know, it's summer, everyone wants to, you know, but it's like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to be the most coolest guy in town, why is it being someone that walks around in a gang and tries to fight someone and then will stab him?
I think a lot of it is, I'm sorry if I was interrupting, I think a lot of it is promoted from like you see that like American black culture.
That's exactly what I think, yeah.
Like in the hood and fucking you're in a gang because for protection. It's like, but here in like St Kilda, it really isn't like that.
No.
It's not the hood. It's not like there's a mixture of like poor and rich people. Obviously, some people, there's a lot of junkies and not good. Well, it's not great for everybody. But it's not like, oh, fucking every day I'm avoiding the police, and it doesn't make sense. Like, that culture doesn't make sense in this environment.
No, exactly, and they are clearly influenced. I'm not being a basic fucking Republican. Oh, that's fucking rap bit music and shit like that. It's like, look, I think when it comes right down to it, it's economics. That's at the heart of it. But it's like, because they all do walk around in basketball jerseys.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And they do act like, for the lack of a better term, they act like they're in the fucking hood or something like that. And it's like, and I think it does come down to economics. It goes like, if you're a young person, we all aspire to be something, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, ask a kid, they want to be an astronaut or some shit like that, you know? They aspire to be something. No one aspires to fucking stock shelves at Woolworths.
No
offense to people that do that shit. That's the society we live in, and that's unfortunately how it is. But No one aspires to be like that. And then in America, probably the hood culture is probably a bit more realistic in the sense that there probably was probably not even many jobs there. They're not all becoming fucking engineers or journalists or some shit like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, how do you become, how do you have a good life? Well, you become an NBA player and like a sportsman. Well, even when I was a kid, that's more like what I was interested in too, trying to be a sportsman. I didn't want to fucking be I'm sorry, you're a tradie now, only just, but like, I didn't want to do that. Working all day, fucking shit every day, you know what I mean? All day, every day for the fucking 60 years just to fucking, at the end of it, have a house or something, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to do that. And it's like, and these people too, what do they get told? They can be a fucking NBA player or they can be a massive fucking drug dealer gangster.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, well, if you can't be like the legally accepted terms of like that make you like successful, powerful and have things, what's the next best thing? Is go into those like black market things where it is violence and illegal drugs. Not that I don't care about illegal drugs. It's not like I'm against them or whatever. But it's like those are the things that can make you rich if you're poor, because that's a way up.
And this is also, I want to add quickly into there, why is drugs a way to do that? Because it's illegal, so that means there's not fucking corporations on every street. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't just start a fucking like a Woolworths Walmart in my house and compete with fucking people down the road, but I can sell drugs because it's like a lot of people like anyone can compete. But anyone can compete.
Yeah, you don't need to get a business license. You don't need to fucking do all this other shit. You don't have to have heaps of money to set it up.
No, exactly. And because like it is illegal, a lot of people, they might not even know one. So you don't necessarily have to pick up a kilogram of cocaine to start your business, you know what I mean? You could pick up a small amount, something that's like a couple of $1,000, and then you could start from there. So it's something like that. It's like you can it's a way to start a business essentially. It's like one of the only businesses that anyone can kind of get into.
Yeah, well, and that's like why it is like probably a quick, easy way to get to some sort of level of like, I don't know, having something, you know?
Having power.
Yeah, well, power, yeah.
No one wants to be like...
No one wants to be like the pawn. Everyone wants to be the big guy that fucking has the shit.
Exactly.
If you can't be, because the only thing you can do is stock shelves, because there aren't good high-paying jobs unless you have like massive education, and even then a lot of people with like degrees end up into fucking stocking shelves anyway.
Exactly. Well, the nature of the world we live in, it's like they can tell you all this shit, but mate, it's who you know. If your dad and all these friends are fucking CEOs and shit like that, you're gonna walk into a fucking company and get $100,000 position because you know someone. It is 100% like that. It's completely unfair, but that's when this thing sort of happens for a lot of these people. Like I'd say, us included. No, we don't live in a place where we're completely segregated off or whatever like that, but like where we lived, there was the opportunity you become a tradesman or you become a Woolworths worker or a fish and chip shop worker.
Yeah, you work in hospitality or you become a tradie is pretty much what it was.
Yeah. So it's like that's, and then linking this back to the black culture thing is like, yeah, exactly. We've kind of said it. These people probably don't have much opportunity. This is what is kind of promoted in the media, and this even goes into sort of what Kanye's talking a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, he's saying how like he can talk all this crap about murdering other black people or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm mean, forget the Jew stuff here because whatever. I don't care about that part of it in what I'm talking about. But like all that sort of all that stuff is sort of very much promoted at them. It's like, you know how Sprite and NBA, they kind of teamed up to like target black people and sort of thing. It's like, yeah, it's a similar thing. Every black person wants to be a fucking NBA player, you know what I mean? Not just shitting on them for that. I mean, you meet white people over here, a lot of them are basic as fuck. They just want to get a 4B and they're copying some image they're told that they're meant to be or something, or what is success for them.
Well, just to talk about like black culture a bit more, I was watching this thing and it was a black guy talking about like black culture, and he was talking about like how like if you look on like charts, how much money which race makes, and who's making enough money, but why is it like that black people are spending more money than any other race on Mercedes Benzes or Air Jordans or these like big like symbols of like you got money.
Yeah.
And it's just like that is what their culture is. It's like they want to be big and flashy. They want to have like massive chains and have guns and bitches and all that shit.
Yeah.
Whereas that is the promoted culture. And they like that isn't a lie. Like you can just see it just from like how like why the gangs related violence. It doesn't make sense. Like why are there so many gangs that are doing nothing?
That's what I don't get as well. What the fuck are these even fighting over?
Yeah, it's like they're just in a gang for the image of being in a gang.
Yes, and that's the transplant of it being in Australia. Because I don't know how it is in America. There probably are some big gangs.
There's probably corners set up and, this is a block that is owned by this gang and the next block and all that. So it actually is like... Because like I know there are lower policed areas in like America where like the police don't go because it is hood.
Yeah.
So like in that kind of society where like you can call the police but like they're not real, like they're not going to show up in fucking really quick.
Yeah.
It's like territories are going to come through different fucking, they're essentially businesses.
Yeah.
But here that it isn't really like that.
No, it's not. And it's sort of like that first is tragedy, second like it's farce.
It's a farce, yeah.
It is. It's like a mean replication of it. And because a lot of people, that's why I can't listen to any fucking rap that's made these days and shit. It kind of like, it's so trash because it is kind of like, obviously back in the day there was probably glorification of it in a sense as well, but a lot of the rap was talking about the struggles that they came from and shit like that. And then today it's just like massive grill in your mouth. It's like they're the ultimate form of commodification. And so it's like pop and shit like that.
Yeah.
But rap today, I haven't heard anything really good in. I can't think of anything really that good. I
know I couldn't like Lil Uzi Vert. I couldn't name one of his songs.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about this guy. And it's just like other completely like there's so many names like that where it's just like who gives a fuck about like this is all just bullshit. Yeah, just like in the music video, in your face with a grill, holding guns like that.
Yeah,
and it's like this is like what is this supposed to be like represent? What's the message in this art?
Yeah,
like I'm a gangster and I kill people is a lot of it.
Exactly, and that all of this kind of relates to this whole culture, and this does affect white people because a lot of white people are into that sort of shit. And I'd say in Australia, I don't know, lads are kind of the white version of that, and mostly they do come from Frankston. I don't know. If you're in Melbourne, you'd know these places. But
poorer, like
shitty
poorer places with like where there's not fucking heaps of shit going on.
Yeah.
So everyone's just hanging about.
Yeah, hanging about and causing trouble.
Yeah. So like you see it with every race, and I think a lot of it is because like why we're seeing it so much with like especially like black people as well is because like they are generally like there are a lot of rich black people, but generally in here they're coming from lower economic areas.
Yeah,
it's like that's just what it like is.
Yeah, and I think especially in America, it goes all the way back to like generational wealth that comes through. Obviously, slavery, segregation, and shit like that. That's all economics, though. You know what I mean? It's like if you got a bunch of people that are slaves and then they're freed, they're obviously coming off a worse footing than the people that were already freed or whatever. And over time, like there are definitely some rich black people out there and shit like that, but the base.
Yeah, I think statistically you are more likely to die in the level, the level of class that you grew up in.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you're born lower class, you're going to die lower class. If you're born middle class, you're going to die middle class. Generally, there are outliers, obviously. Yeah. But generally, that's how it goes.
Oh, absolutely.
So unless you're an outlier, you're probably going to stay in the same that level of class. And obviously, having slaves or being a slave, you're not going to have a solid footing.
No,
you're not going to go from, oh, you were a slave last year to your kids are fucking the top 1%. That's not really going to happen.
No. Like, not to say it's impossible, but
the chances of it happening are like insane. It's like 0.0. Like, I don't know how many slaves next generation or a couple generations later in top 1%, but I couldn't imagine many.
No, fucking hardly any at all, I'd say.
I need to sneeze, but I didn't. But like, yeah, like you have to be like someone like Kanye. Not talking about him being controversial and shit. I'm talking about him like his wealth and status shooting up.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like he doesn't come from the ultra rich, and now he's ultra rich.
He didn't work his way up through Amazon.
No, he just shot to the top.
He did something like, it's not an NBA player, but it's something like that in that only a very select few are going to do it. You know, he's done something artistic or whatever.
Not everyone can be number one musician. Not saying he's number one musician, but not everyone can be those top 10, top 100. That like all of a sudden, like some people have to be like just average people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's most people.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that's why I think that you'd see a lot of, especially like black gang, is because it is just like that socioeconomic thing of they're not coming from rich families.
No.
They're coming from poor families, and they're not going to emulate, oh, we're going to go middle class and go to university and get a good job.
Yeah.
Like, what are poor people, like, their idea of what is success wouldn't be the same as a middle class person's.
No, they wouldn't, exactly. Because they don't have those, yeah, exactly. A middle class person, their parents are probably going to be like, go to university or something. And I don't think that's the end of it either. I don't think that's the right, I mean, I fucking certainly didn't go that route. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not successful by any means, but I mean, yeah, and it's like, yeah, definitely the culturally influence is going to be different in certain areas as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about because like not black people, liberals or Democrat sort of supporters or woke people, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they won't talk about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it is an issue in society. Fucking
yeah. Well, I think I was trying to say before, I did say, I can't really remember, but it's like the media won't say that it was like gang related violence. Like they won't even bring up the race of anyone. Yeah. And it's like, we all know that it was these people that did it, but no, you can't say that because it's racist or whatever. But it's like, it's a glaring problem when majority, like a high majority of any stabbing I ever heard of is coming from like generally black people. It's like, you got to address the problems that is setting that up to be the circumstance.
Exactly.
And if like, I'm not trying to blame black people. Yeah. I'm saying that, well, if this is happening, it's like there's clearly something that's making that happen.
Exactly. And then it's like, yeah, why is this the cultural influence? And then you go, oh, if that's, as we're talking about this economic sort of thing, where that's the only way that they can truly achieve some sort of higher position in society, then you go, we need to fix that. You don't need to go, we need to attack every fucking, every person that criticizes them as, being racist or whatever like that. We got to fucking work out how to fix this economic situation. And obviously that's a massive thing. I'm not going to go into that now, exactly how I think we need to solve that.
Yeah. But like, it's like that. It's like, you're not fixing the economic problem. It's like, it's not solving the issue.
Exactly. And a similar thing, sorry to jump in there, but I don't know, we can change it. We can stop talking about this in particular, but it's like the homeless thing is as well around here. Like there's a massive, for the yous that live in America, if anyone's listening, whatever, I've noticed a lot of them are. There is a lot of homeless people here. It's not just fucking Kensington and whatever, Philadelphia and America where you see videos of homeless everywhere. It's not like that, but there's a lot of homeless people still in Australia. It's not like just, how's it going, mate, over here, country people. We have very similar issues. And basically, there's a page for this general area and a lot of homeless people. Someone mentioned that in a post, just on this Facebook thing. There's a lot of homeless people and what are we going to, what do we do about this sort of thing? And then someone says, someone commented, this is actually disgusting, you know what I mean? Like, that they even brought up that there's homeless people. It's like, you calling ours disgusting doesn't help them.
Yeah. Oh, well, I remember seeing on that page for it. Someone was talking about like homeless people because like some chick and her baby were walking through the park and the homeless man like exposed himself to them.
Yeah.
And she was complaining about like this homeless guy that lives in a gazebo at the park.
Yeah.
And it's like people were correcting it, but like it's actually unhoused. And it's like, are you fucking serious? We're talking about someone that's like generally, it's like they're obviously not in a good sitch, but they're a danger to like everyone around them and themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, there's streets you walk down here, and you got to fucking, if there's homeless people, you got to keep your head on a swivel.
Oh,
like I've seen someone get bottled, just some guy sitting on a bench, get bottled on the street.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, well, we both have. Remember, we were watching it, and then we said, should we do something? But it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, that happens, and these people are like mentally unwell, crazy. They have nothing, and they're obviously desperate, which breeds violence. It's like they're capable, especially of doing something.
Exactly, and it goes all into this whole mindset of, it's like they refuse, and probably on the surface they do criticise the economy or whatever like that, but it's like, when someone says there's a lot of homeless people here, they're not saying we need to fucking go and shoot them all.
Yeah, obviously.
They're saying we need to address the problem. But these people would rather just pretend that it's not an issue because they're scared of offending people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly. It's like these people are generally, they can be very dangerous. And it's like, we're not going to address that issue that like, someone might get stabbed or whatever by one day. And it's like, we could have done something, but we didn't because we might have hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah, it's like, but now you cost someone their fucking life.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that like, no one wants homeless people. No one's shitting on them for being homeless, but something has to be done.
Yeah.
You can't just let them fester because it's going to get worse. Like, I've noticed that there's more homeless people than there was a year ago.
Oh, there is a lot.
And like, it's just like they stack up, and it's like, obviously the economy's not great. Things are getting worse for certain people, and it's going to drive those people that are already like barely making it to homelessness.
Yeah.
So it's just going to get worse and worse. And if we don't address something, it's like something's going to happen. It's going to be bad. Like, someone's going to die.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
not to like fearmonger, like, someone's going to die, but like, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, and for the record, I think we're both in that mindset. It starts with the economy. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go into all that shit, but yeah, it does start there. It's not hating on it. I mean, I fucking was down the beach once when I just moved. I don't know if I talked about it before, but the guy threatened me once. I was sitting there, he asked if he could sit next to me, and I was just sitting there down there drinking a beer, and he was like, yes, homeless Aboriginal guy. Massive problem. Aboriginals really don't not fit into society, but if you find a lot of homeless people, a lot of them will be Aboriginal people, way over proportionate compared to what they are as a percentage of the population. Yeah, whatever. This guy comes, sits next to me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I just moved here, so I'm just like, chill, whatever. And then he's like talking to me for a bit, and then he goes, literally talking to himself. He looks to the side and goes, should I fight this cunt? And it's just me and him sitting there by ourselves. And I pretty quickly fucking stood up and said, all right, I'm out of here, mate, sorry. Yeah. It's just like...
no shit.
Yeah, it's like pretty wild, I'm not a small person, you know what I mean? It's like, fucking hell, imagine... I mean, he could have beat me up, I don't know, maybe. He was fucking ripped.
Yeah, well, fuck. No one's planning to sit at the beach, have a beer and watch the sunset. Is planning to get on a fight.
No.
It's like you're just trying to enjoy your evening.
Exactly.
You're not going there wanting to fight, or if a fight is the opportunity, you're not like, get it. Most people don't want that.
Definitely
majority,
not.
like a massive majority, like almost 99% of people don't fucking want that.
No, exactly.
They just want to enjoy their evening.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like they're just stabbing and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know, people got to stop, because all this does is not acknowledging the problem. Like, I was thinking about it at the time when I seen this guy laying on the ground, you know what I mean? And it really fucking, I was a bit drunk as well. I was really fucking pissed off, you know what I mean? Like, I reckon there could be someone like that could harness that energy in like a sense, because we're not allowed to talk about it, and that if you do, you're a fucking racist or whatever. So if someone said, This is going to sound horrible in a sense. I'm not saying I agree with them, because I don't, because I think it comes from the economy. But if someone had at that moment said, who the fucking else is sick of these people doing this? I reckon there'd be a lot of people that fucking would agree with them in that moment. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I was actually walking down the street and I was talking to I was with my housemate and we were talking to this guy from Uruguay and this other guy from Afghanistan. Like, they were all saying that, like, yeah, it's always fucking pseudo gangs that are like fucking doing this shit. It's fucking like horrible, and like they were like saying shit that was borderline just blaming black people for it. But it's like I could see how that could happen. How everyone would just like say racist shit, because it's like, from what we're seeing, it's like there are underlying reasons for it, but that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing like black gangs doing this shit. And
because we're not allowed to talk about it and then get to those underlying reasons and like try and acknowledge them, people are just doing this in their head. And it's going to make people more extreme. That's what I think.
Yeah,
you know what
definitely. 100% it's going to make... Well, because if you're not allowed to talk about it, you're just going to talk about it with other people that already think what you think. And you're never going to get a varying opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll just... Yeah, it's just... Like, fucking... Oh, Hitler didn't start with just executing Jews one day, you know? It was... It grew.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, oh, the hatred, and then you start speaking about it and it advances. It's like, that's how this shit starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Where like you really start getting factions that hate fucking certain groups.
Yeah, and it definitely does exist. And I don't think there's some big fucking Nazi hiding under everyone's bed.
I don't think so either.
No, but like, I don't know. I like, shit like that keeps happening, you know what I mean? I can see that shit sort of gaining momentum and shit like that.
Yeah, definitely could gain momentum.
And I'm not trying to go on some big Nazi style road.
No. Obviously, blaming like the race is bad, but trying to understand why certain races are more like responsible for doing these acts, it's like, that's not racist to do.
No,
I can't just be like, oh, some human gang stabbed. It's like, well, if 99% of it is fucking this kind of human doing it, there's obviously something happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty wild. I mean, funnily, not really that crazy. Not really that funny, I suppose, in a sense, but in a related way, fucking, in Australia, two cops got shot the other day. Some crazy, like, conspiracy theorists or something whack. Did you sort of read about it?
I've read something about, like, sovereign citizens and shit doing it.
Yeah, and he was like an ex-principal of a school and all that shit.
Read that.
But it was in the original article because the guy's he's left wherever he lived like a year ago and been in contact with his family and whatever. But then he stopped like 5 days ago or so they've reported him as missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually, it must have been the first article about him being missing. It said that he was an Aboriginal, like he was Aboriginal descent or whatever. And then in all the other articles, after obviously he shot 2 cops and it's become a fucking, tragedy or whatever. No mention of that anymore. Which is...
I mean...
But if it's a white person, they would do.
Yeah, because it is kind of like that. It's like, well, saying that the principal's missing, there's no reason to say that, oh, it's an Aboriginal principal.
No.
There's no reason for that. But if it's like, in a way, obviously someone's missing, that's a sad thing, that's not good. And it's bad for that person. But if fucking an Aboriginal shoots somebody, it's not a sad thing for the Aboriginal community. No. It's very much a bad thing.
Yeah.
For that community, for however people are going to look at it.
Yeah.
So they won't talk about it in that situation, but they'll talk about it in other situations where it's not making not making them look like a bad guy.
Yeah, but it's weird because they don't give a shit about making bad people look horrible, which is like a whole nother conversation. But
well, like, I think that is almost relatable to like, oh, the car that drove through 60 people or whatever.
Which one?
Like, do you know how, like, remember there was a Christmas parade in...
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, they will put on headlines, so like, I'm not being like some like white fucking, it's hard, whatever. It's like, they're like, oh, white teenager shoots up school or whatever.
Yeah.
But they won't say, oh, black man drives through crowd.
No, they don't.
So it's like, there's that selective on what's okay to say, and it's like I think it's detrimental.
It doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It just is a way of like, it's almost like promoting hate against certain groups, and then trying to nullify it against others.
Exactly, and I'm not. Yeah, exactly, because we're not coming at this from like a white pride sort of thing. No. You know what I mean? But like, if you're someone who is uneducated or something like that, or I don't mean university or something like that, but just generally not very knowledgeable. I could see how you would genuinely think that, you know, this is like the black people working to fucking screw over the white man or some shit like that. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. And it's something I've always said. It's just like fucking any kind of ethnic pride, like black pride, white pride, Spanish pride. It's all bad.
Oh fuck yeah.
Having pride in your nationality or whatever is pretty. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's like I have nothing to do with the fucking creation of Australia and building the nation. I have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's like taking credit when you've done nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why when I see movements like black pride and all that, like be happy you're black, and it's like, well, you wouldn't say that about white people, would you? Because that's racist. I think it's just as dumb to do it about any other race.
No, fucking oath. No, I hate it as well. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some more shit, but we talked a lot about those things. Yeah,
fucking hell. Hour went quick. You ready to wrap up?
Yeah, mate. Do the honors, bro.
Well, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment if you want to. Follow us on Twitter as well.
Yeah, what do you think of blacks?
Thanks, guys.